All right, welcome in a very, very special guest joining us on Pirate Radio Live today. East Carolina alum, a football player here in the 90s, has had a heck of a football journey that's continuing in Baltimore now as he is the new Ravens offensive line coach. And what a pleasure it is to have Dwayne Ledford join us on the show today. Dwayne, good to see you. Good to hear from you.
Oh, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's great to hear from you guys, and any type of call from Greenville, North Carolina. You always look forward to those.
Pirate Radio, we love to follow all the athletes, former athletes, and of course the ones that are in coaching or playing. And you've had a heck of a journey since leaving here, East Carolina. But I want to start with your path. How did you get to East Carolina? How did Dwayne from Marion, North Carolina, make his path to come here and put on the helmet and shoulder pads and play for the purple and gold?
Yeah, well, Paul Jett was my recruiter, so he recruited me when I was at McDowell High School up in the western part of the state up there, and and not like we got a lot of traction when it came to recruiting up there in the mountains of North Carolina, and so Coach Jed, he started recruiting me, and there's some good stories with Coach Logan, and just coming to my hometown and just actually going to a house that was a couple of houses down below me, and sitting in there for probably about a good 30 to 45 minutes before he realized that he was just in some random guy's house and wasn't in my house when he was coming to do a home visit. And the guy directed him up the hill towards my house, and but I was glad that East Carolina and Coach Logan, Coach Jed, they really, I enjoyed it when I came there. When I came there, I really enjoyed the atmosphere when I saw how passionate the fan base was for the games that we went to, and then the vision that Coach Logan was talking about, where he wanted to see the program. It was just something like, when you drove into Greenville, you knew that football was important there. It was something that people really enjoyed, not only just talking, but just being a part of it. It was the community, and I really enjoyed that. I wanted to be somewhere where it was like that, and I was glad Coach Logan and Coach Jed that they gave me an opportunity to come there, because it completely changed who I was as a person, and obviously helped me to get to where I am today. Just falling in love with the not only the process of being a student athlete there in Greenville, but also just the coaches and how they really molded me to where I wanted to be a coach one day. And that they definitely really, they were the ones that really got me to wanting to be able to do this. I wanted to have the impact like Jeff Connors had on me. And I originally wanted to be a strength coach, and actually was helping out Coach Connors when he was at Chapel Hill. I thought that was the path that I was going to go, because he just had such an impact on me as a person. And there's so many people there in Greenville that touched my life that I'll always be forever grateful for them.
What were your options besides East Carolina, and what was do you remember the one or two that you mentioned? The atmosphere, the vision Coach Logan was selling. What were your other options, and what was the tipping point that made you want to come to Greenville?
It was East Carolina was my first offer, and I was blown away by the first visit. I was getting recruited by Carolina, NC State, Wake Forest, some of the ACC schools there, but I just really felt how important it seemed like I was to East Carolina. And once they offered East Carolina, I committed right away. And it was something that I committed really early. And it was something that, I just knew that was the place that I was wanting to be. And I wasn't heavily recruited, but I wanted to be somewhere where I felt like I was wanted. And I think I was kind of like the typical story of a lot of people that got recruited to East Carolina at the time. And a lot of us kind of took that mindset of always having that little chip on your shoulder. It's like, yeah, were you quite good enough for the Tar Heels, for the Wolf Pack? You know, it was, they liked you, but were you, you know, when East Carolina, you knew that it felt more like they really wanted that there was a plan. And so it was kind of like going to East Carolina and just proving to everybody that, hey, we're going to show you. And you guys may have overlooked a couple of us, but you guys don't want to play on us on Saturdays.
Yeah, and you got here early enough in Logan's tenure where the chip is always talked about. And I really feel like you were a part of the program that really had that chip the most because they kind of post the dream season of 1991, early in Logan's tenure, trying to get East Carolina as an independent on the map. What was that like of Logan's vision and the coaches of trying to get East Carolina motivated to be noticed?
It was really exciting at that time. We came there, and it was just a really good time. Everybody was excited. They was excited. They were excited with the success that they had in the bowl game. And we were playing. We're kind of like in the Big East at the time. And so it was kind of a vision in which, you're playing West Virginia, you're playing Virginia Tech, you're going to try to play all the in-state schools. And it was kind of like, hey, we're going to try to show everybody that we can be the best program in the state of North Carolina and be able to play on that national scene against all these other schools out there. And so, and that's what I enjoyed about it. I wanted to. That was kind of my approach. Like I felt like in high school, I was overlooked. I thought that just being from a small town, very blue collar place that I love dearly, it kind of taught that hard work can make up for a lot. And I just felt like East Carolina was an example of that for me. And I just felt like it was a place where I belong. And Logan's vision of it was kind of difficult when I first got there because I was a defensive lineman. And I remember when he came to me going into my senior year, he's like, hey, Dwayne, we've had success with like Lamont Burns moving over to the defense, from defense to offense. And he told me, he's like, hey, you may not like this, but I got a vision for you. Would you move over to the offensive line? And as a defensive lineman, that was the last thing you ever wanted to hear. And I was a starting defensive end the year before. And, looking back on it, I know why he did it. I couldn't get off blocks. And so from the coaching side of it, but he had a vision and a plan even at that point for me. And he told me, he's like, hey, you do this, I think you'll have an opportunity to play at the next level if you want to, because you'll be able to show like a lot of your athletic ability and the things that you have as a defensive player, bring that over on the offensive side of the ball. And I was always one of those guys. You tell me to do. If a coach told me to do something, like, all right, coach, which and where, how do you want it done? I'm going to do it. And I was glad that he gave me that opportunity because it opened the door for me to go on into the NFL, and it helped me. I bounced around the NFL for a long time. Was in 8 training camps, played 7 years, and it allowed me to really not only be a part of a lot of different locker rooms, be around a lot of great players, but towards the end of my playing career, I took advantage of what the NFL had set up for players to kind of help them transition into like whatever field that they wanted to get involved in. And I did an internship with NFL Europe and fell in love with coaching. And I kind of knew right then, I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life and as long as I can. And, and I always look back to it, it was Logan that gave me the opportunity to move over to the offensive line that opened the door for me with an NFL career that allowed me to kind of get into this whole coaching career for myself. And so I'm always thankful for him and that opportunity and what East Carolina gave me.
Did it take that of playing at East Carolina, playing in the NFL, and then the coaching bug got into you, or did you ever have that bug start to be planted in your ears and eyeballs when you were here earlier at East Carolina?
Like I was so Connors had a profound impact on me, and I'm sure most people, everybody would tell you the same thing that's ever been with him. And he was somebody that really impacted me. And I wanted, as I was going through college, I remember Coach Logan asked me, he's like, "What do you want to be? What do you want to do when you graduate here?" And I told him, I was like, "Well, I want to be just like Coach Connors. I want to be a strength coach. I want to be in the weight room. I want to be with a team. I want to try to motivate them. I try to influence them. Try to have an impact on kids, on players' lives." And so for me, that's what Connors was the one, because that's what he did for me. I wanted to be like that for somebody else. And so, like, coaches, other than my parents, coaches have always been so impactful to me. I kind of knew in college that's what I wanted to do, but it was until towards the end of my playing days, when I did that internship in NFL Europe, that I really caught the bug and was like, "Yeah, I'm really going to. This is what I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to proceed with."
When you played here at East Carolina, when young Dwayne got here from Marion, North Carolina, who were some of the first teammates that had an impact on you, and who are some of your brothers for life that you left East Carolina and still keep up with today?
Jeff Kerr was my roommate, and so we came in together. And but Jeff and I, we're still very close to this day. He came down to Atlanta a lot when I was with the Falcons. Brought his family down for a couple of games, and stayed in contact throughout the years with Jeff. We have a very close relationship. So Jeff Kerr was one of them. Matthew Semenza was another one. Very close friend of mine. Rod Coleman. Terrell Williams, who Terrell and I, we still talk a lot and get to see each other in the off season up here and everything. And so it was a lot of guys during that time. All of us, it seemed like when we came in, we were a very close group, and kind of stayed like that the whole time. And very fortunate for those guys and the relationships that we have and still have today. And wish it was something where, we could get around more. Like, I want to get back down to Greenville at some point for like a spring game and just see the guys and everybody at game day. But it's tough now, just with our schedules, with our season and our calendars, to be able to do that. But definitely looking forward to that. But those guys, because that's the thing about it. When you come to college, it's so many different people from different areas of the country, basically, like coming together. And you're relying on each other because you're new to a new city, you're new to a new it's everything's new, and so you're finding it out together. And so that's where a lot of those relationships, and then going through it together with Connors, it forged some relationships. You had to rely on each other a lot, and thankful and glad that we had each other during our time there.
I know I was going to ask you what your favorite memory of East Carolina is, but is some of your favorite and worst memories with Coach Connors?
The games, obviously, those were great and those were fun. And always you'll remember that. You'll remember coming out there, being on the field. But I'm telling you, that little weight room that we had in Ward Sports Medicine Building with no windows, and it was just work. Like, some of those days in there, and also out on that field running 300s in the summertime in the Greenville heat, those are times I remember more or just as much as some of the games. And that kind of speaks on just, what the type of work that we were putting in there together. Because we always felt like we were going to outwork people. It was always the fourth quarter comes around, we're going to be in better shape, better condition than any team that we were going to play. And to me, I always felt like you could always be stronger than your opponent. That's something that you could control with the weight room and the amount of work that you put in there.
You left East Carolina, and as you mentioned, had a lot of success moving around, playing in the NFL, a lot of different experiences. What was that and how did it have an impact on your life?
You left Greenville, like leaving from Marion, North Carolina, coming to Greenville. It was like going to a major city for me. Asheville, North Carolina was like the closest, basically, city that we had growing up. And so I came from a really small town. And then when I went to Greenville, that was huge to me. And so when I left Greenville, I'd go out to San Francisco. I'd go out there as a free agent. And so you can imagine kind of like how shell shocked I was when I went out there. And, but you know, it was a great experience getting that's the whole thing with football. It has literally shown me the world. And I say that because I also coached in NFL Europe and spent springs and summers over in Frankfurt, Germany, Dusseldorf, doing camps throughout Europe. And even now we get to go over there and play in regular season games. Like we were over in Berlin last year. And so this game I'm so indebted to because it's provided for me and my family. It's given me a great education. It's gave me a great education there at East Carolina. It's shown me things that I would have never seen if I just stayed there in my hometown. And so it's something that the experiences that this game, this sport has given me, it's been unbelievable and something I never take for granted. And even like now being up here in Baltimore and just being around this organization, it's just the experiences that you gather from all this is very unique and something that is very special.
How many conversations do you have about, hey, I played at East Carolina. I went to East Carolina because you mentioned Terrell Williams. He was just with the Patriots in the Super Bowl and, of course, just had a cancer battle. There's so many East Carolina connections, whether they coached here or played here. How often are you talking East Carolina when you're through your NFL journey and now coaching journey?
Oh, it's a lot. These locker rooms, there's the when you're talking about your schools and everything like that. And so anytime we're playing anybody, and then there's some of either players or whoever in the locker room, it's a lot of pride. And Saturdays are always a great time because we can put back on the college gear. I was laughing around and joking around with some of the equipment guys down in the equipment room earlier. I was like, man, it kind of feels good putting this purple back on. It's been a while. And so I think everybody that's come through there in Greenville, when they leave there, I think that when they look back on it, and even till today, there's a lot of pride that comes from being a part of that program, being a part of that community down there.
Our special guest, Dwayne Ledford, he is with the Baltimore Ravens right now. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about Dwayne Ledford and what he is doing today, his NFL coaching journey, and what he thinks about the NFL. But a lot of good stuff with East Carolina. But we'll take a quick break. We'll come back more with Dwayne Ledford right after this. All right, welcome back into the program. Great having our guest join us from Baltimore today because he is the new Ravens offensive line coach. He is Dwayne Ledford. Dwayne, a lot of great East Carolina memories you've had there, and as you transitioned to being a coach, you went through a lot of colleges, made some stops, including here at
Yeah.
East Carolina, and then eventually now as an NFL coach. But tell us about your journey. Obviously, you're with the Ravens right now, but the process of how you kind of guided your way. You made a lot of stops in the state of North Carolina at different schools as well, in addition to ECU.
Yeah, it's kind of unique. Like I've spent like so many years, like even once I graduated, my wife and I, we were dating at the time when we were in San Francisco. Um, we were leaving San Francisco. I got released by them, and we were like, we need to find somewhere where we're gonna like, where's home base. Um, she was wanting to go back to school. We're from the same hometown. She went to Chapel Hill for school, and so we kind of decided on Raleigh being like our home base. And so we bought a house in Raleigh, and we had that house while I was still chasing the NFL and being on different teams, bouncing around. And so like we had the house here in Raleigh, and then when I got into coaching, I did NFL Europe, and then once NFL Europe season was over with, my first coaching job, so it was NFL Europe, and then I was coaching at Sanderson High School there in Raleigh, and Jason Tyndall, who was also an East Carolina grad, we were in some grad classes together there at East Carolina. Jason was the head coach there at Sanderson, and gave me an opportunity to come there and help him out. And I did that, and then I had an opportunity to come back to East Carolina and be a GA for Coach Holtz. And Steve Shankweiler, it was my offensive line coach that I played for. Loved Coach Shank. He was the best. And so I played for Shank, but then Shank was also looking for he was looking for a graduate assistant at the time. And so I was able to, he hired me as a GA there at East Carolina. I was there for 2 years. And then my first full-time job was at Tennessee State in Nashville. And so I was there for 1 year. Then I left there, went to Gardner Webb in Bowling Springs, North Carolina. And so I was at Gardner Webb for a year. And then App State had an opening. And, I felt like it was, if I could get that opportunity to go to Appalachian State. They obviously had a great program. Jerry Moore, the success that they've had there just from a program standpoint. Well, they were kind of going through a coaching change where he just hired Scott Satterfield and was looking for a couple more coaches. And it was one of those things like every year, it's already kind of came and went now. But it's one of those things where they have these coaches convention that like all the coaches they go to, it's like a week long. You get to meet a lot of new faces. It's a lot of interviews, a lot of moving parts happen at these things. And the convention was, so I was at Gardner Webb and the convention was in San Antonio at the time. And I told my wife, she was living in Raleigh. I was like, I'm going to get this Appalachian job. And she told me, she's like, all right, sounds good. And I'm sure she was just thinking like, oh, okay, whatever. Like I'm still here in Raleigh trying to making it work for us while you chase this coaching thing. And so I went out to San Antonio with trying to see Coach Moore because I never met him before. And spent the whole time there, never ran into him. And I remember the last day I was there, I was like, man, been on the road recruiting. I didn't see Coach Moore. I was kind of frustrated. But to me, that pirate spirit, man, of never giving up, it hit me because I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to the airport and I'm going to get there early and I'm going to walk up and down the terminals until I try to find Coach Moore. And I walked up and down. I got there early in the morning. I walked up and down all the terminals. He was literally at the last gate of one of the terminals, he and his wife, Margaret. And he probably was like, man, who's this guy coming to talk to me? But I went up to him, introduced myself. And I told him, I was like, I want to be your offensive line coach. I was like, I've been looking for you, but I want to introduce myself. And so it was a long process, but it was just like one of those things. I didn't want to be denied this opportunity because I thought it was be a good opportunity to kind of truly break into, a really good program, learn from Coach Moore and everything that he did at App. And long story short, I ended up getting that job. And, I spent 4 years up there with Coach Satterfield. It was during the transition with Coach Moore retiring and then Coach Satterfield taking over up there. And then I left Appalachian State to go to NC State. Dave Dorn hired me there and had some good teams there during our run there at NC State. And then from NC State, Scott Satterfield got the Louisville job. And he told me, he's like, hey, I want you to come up here. I want you to be, I'm going to hire you as my offensive coordinator. And he's like, would you come up here with me? And, so it was something my wife and I, we were excited about. So we went to Louisville with Coach Satterfield and we're up there for 2 years. And then the opportunity to get into the NFL came about and was fortunate that Arthur Smith at the time there in Atlanta hired me to come to Atlanta. And I was there in Atlanta for the past 5 years. And obviously now up here in Baltimore, starting year one up here. And so it's, when you look at it, like I was in the state of North Carolina pretty much my whole, and I love the state. I am the biggest North Carolina guy that you'll ever meet. Like anybody staff I've been on talk about how great the state is. I was, man, you can be in the mountains, you can be at the beaches. I was like, it's such a wonderful place. And my wife and I, we actually Like we in our hometown, we got a lake there and stuff like that. So we go back into the state of North Carolina a lot. We visit family. Both of our families are still there in North Carolina, up in the mountains. So we spend a lot of time there still.
Everybody looks at Dwayne Ledford today and says, "Man, you're the offensive line coach, Baltimore Ravens. You're in the National Football League." And then you just told us about your journey, told us about walking through the airport with that pirate spirit,
Oh yeah.
trying to get a job. Was there ever a time when you were tested that you thought about not doing coaching anymore and doing something else, and it was just getting the things were working too much against you, adversity?
Well, that was a trying part there because when I first got into coaching, being a GA was tough because a lot of times former players, they a lot of times, I think the perception is like a former player doesn't want to come in and put the work in like a GA, what all that they have to do, and so there's like a little bit of a you got to that I'm not above anything. Like I'm going to go and put in the work. My whole life has been about putting in the work. That's what East Carolina taught me from day one. It's nothing different to today being in here in this office right now in Baltimore. And so for me, I wanted to go and prove that, hey, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to show you that I can be an asset to anywhere I'm going to go to. I just need the opportunity and the chance. And so I'm just glad that Coach Holtz gave me that opportunity. He and Coach Shank there at East Carolina. And then when my first full-time job, that was in Nashville, Tennessee at Tennessee State. And my wife, she was going back to get her MBA at Chapel Hill. And, that's something we lived away from each other while I was at East Carolina as a GA because I had an apartment there. She was living in Raleigh. And so we did that for 2 years. Then when I went to Tennessee State, she stayed in North Carolina there in Raleigh to work while I was away. We saw each other maybe twice the whole year. And then when I went to Gardner Webb, the same thing because I was just starting my coaching journey. And to me, like great places, but to me, I was still trying to see if I could climb the ladder. And it wasn't something I was willing to kind of take her away from school, getting her master's. And, I wasn't ready to uproot the family yet. And so that whole time was very trying for us as a family. And then trying to get the app job because Coach Moore, he had me interview about 4 times. It was one of those things where, he got me to come up there and he told me, he's like, now when you come up here, he's like, don't wear a suit or anything like that. I just want you to wear sweats, wear something you're comfortable in. I was like, all right, this will be good. And so I went up there and then he asked me, he's like, I need to see your drill tape. And I told him, I was like, Coach, the places where I've been, we haven't had the luxury or the equipment to where I could have a drill tape. I can take you through the drills and show you everything that I would do with a player, with their development. And so we went out to the indoor and spent probably an hour just going through drills like I went through it. And he still wouldn't he didn't tell me I was hired yet. And he brought me up like 2 other times. And finally, the last time, because my wife was to the point, she was like, I don't know if this is going to work. Like, you keep going up there. And I was like, this is going to work. He's going to hire me. And so that last one, but that whole time was a tough time because you're really trying to get, your foot in the door in this coaching profession. And it's a wonderful profession, but at the same time, it's very, very taxing and tough on families. And that's the part. Like even now, like being up here in Baltimore, like being away from the family, because I have a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old, both boys, and that's just something that's tough being away from them. But it's part of that's what you kind of signed up for, and knowing that now I got to uproot my family to now they have to start back. Because for me, I got the team, I got these other coaches. We transition very easily, but for the families, it can be a very tough and difficult time for them to transition, and especially for your kids.
Absolutely. You mentioned, I don't think anybody's ever going to question your work ethic, and you may do more than the average person, it sounds like. But what's a typical day in the life like for Dwayne Ledford, the NFL coach?
Well, like right now, this time of the year, it's like when you start anything new, um, it's really trying to get to know the people that's in the building, and so it's trying to me, and Coach Mentor here, he talked about it from day one. To me, everything I learned this at East Carolina with Jerry Moore at App, but it's about the people and it's about the relationships. So to me, right now, it's everything about building these relationships with the coaches you work with, and also as you start to meet the players and building those relationships. Because it's to me, the more connected you are as a staff, the more connected you are as a team with your players, the better that team is going to be. And to me, I think that's what it all starts with. And so it's really like starting that process now, getting to know your team, watching a lot of film on them. But now we're in this phase where the draft is coming up. You got the combine next week up in Indianapolis, and so it's getting ready for that because you're getting ready for the draft. Possibly, what are you going to do in the draft as far as like, so you got to get to know all these college prospects right now. And while you're doing that, we're also putting together our offense for the first time. And so it's meeting kind of, hey, we're going to call this, we're going to do this. And so just doing it all for the first time. And so it's really busy right now, but at the same time, it's awesome because you're really laying the groundwork for years to come. And so it's an important piece of it. But it's fun. And then once our players get here, our players will be here in the 1st of April. That's when we really get to kind of, connect with the players, let them really kind of know us and understand us. Because my whole thing is I've always, wherever I've been, it's always been about relationships. Because some of the things that, you ask these, it's hard. This profession is hard. And to me, it's always about being connected with your players and just having that kind of relationship with them.
There's a guy up in Baltimore that named Keaton Mitchell that a lot of people down here still love. Are you excited about him being on your offensive team?
Yeah, I remember Keaton from when, when I was in Atlanta and we were looking at, obviously you're looking at all the prospects that are coming out. And obviously Keaton had a great career there. And he is you guys know exactly what Keaton is. And so, but it was something where, you know, he is just, and when you look at the rosters, just the possibility of working with these guys it's such a on like it's an honor, like to be able to be in this locker room, to be in this building, and to have the opportunity to work with these players and to be a part of this organization. Because when you walk in here, it's pretty special. Like my kids, they came up this weekend with my wife, and you walk in the first door and you look over to your left and you see 2 Super Bowl trophies. And you think about the Ravens. I don't know how long they've been in existence, but that's 2 Super Bowl trophies in a fairly short amount of time that they've been playing here in Baltimore with the Ravens. And it's a special place. It's the organization it's special, and so you just feel honored to just have this opportunity to be around this organization and with these players.
Dwayne, you are obviously well respected. When the Atlanta Falcons had a bunch of changes on, you landed quickly back with the Ravens. A lot of other teams in the NFL wanted you. What is your future with coaching? Do you have head coach aspirations? Or you feel like you're locked in for the NFL? What if the job at East Carolina even became open? Would that be something that would interest you?
No, like I really want to be a head coach one day, and I think that's been my motivation. Every stop, every opportunity, like every team that I've been with has just been an opportunity to kind of grow and just kind of see different ways in doing things, from college to my time here in the NFL now. And so to me, like I want to have the opportunity to build to run a program as well, and to be a part of just having that chance um, to be able to run a program is something I definitely want to be able to hope that I get the opportunity to do one day. And so in the meantime, it's just like I always say, like it's about the relationships with the players and just doing the job that you are doing, go out and be the very best that you can at it. And it's I'm very fortunate to be around a lot of good people, a lot of great people, people that I respect. And so, but I do hope one day to have that opportunity to be a head coach.
Dwayne, I'm sure you will. Before we get out of here, I wanted to ask, what would Dwayne Ledford today tell 19-year-old Dwayne Ledford at East Carolina?
Oh, that's always a good question. It's one of those things where I don't know. It's really to me the relationships that you to try to understand the relationships that you're forming right now in college that they are going to last a lifetime, and to really just try to really sit back and although some of those times were tough and they were hard, that there was a reason and a purpose behind everything that we were doing. There's a reason why we ran those 300s and we had to make them in a certain time. There was a reason why we had to do the things that we did, but as I look back on it, those were hard times, and I'm thankful for the era that I was able to play in because I think it was a lot about developing, and with the landscape of college football now, it's a little bit different now with like the portal, with the NIL and everything like that, and so I'm just very thankful for the time that I had because you look back on it and it's those times really forged who you are today. And so just kind of like understanding that a little bit better as a younger person, I think that would have been it would have made that time go by a lot a lot easier maybe. But also just understanding how important those guys in that locker room, those people around you, what they truly meant to you later on when you left that building, and having those people to understand that more why you were there as a player, because that's something that I was like, man, I wish I could see so and so again. I wish I could see, I miss seeing Norris McCleary, Terrell, being around Rod, and all those times that we had together, and because it's a short amount of time and it happens fast, and but try to just slow down a little bit and really embrace where your feet are at the time.
Well, Dwayne, it's been a pleasure talking to you. We could go hours. You cracked open a whole bunch of other topics about the portal, the NIL, all this other stuff. We'll have to have you back at another time. But you represent East Carolina well, and we're all proud of you, and we love following you and your journey with the Ravens. And hope that third Super Bowl trophy is up in the building with you. Later this year when you guys get going, I know you'll have a tremendous lot of success, and who knows where your journey will head after this year and beyond.
Well, like I know the Pirates have had a lot of success up here in Annapolis these last couple of years in the bowl games, and so like obviously the Pirates have known how to travel up this area, and it's just a little short drive from Annapolis. Hopefully, we can get you guys up here for some games or something like that up here in Baltimore. So, but I appreciate you guys having me on. It's awesome to be able to get back here and connect, and just I follow you guys a lot, and I appreciate everything that you guys do and allowing us former players to stay connected with the program and everything that's happening there with the athletics in the city of Greenville.
Well, Dwayne, good luck. Go Ravens and go Pirates.
Thank you very much.